Everyone loves a good ghost story. Whether you're crowded around a campfire or watching a YouTube video at 3 a.m., there's something fun and exciting about imagining haunted places plagued by strange noises and apparitions. Part of what makes it so fun is the idea that any place can be haunted, especially if terrible things have happened there. That decrepit old house at the end of your street, that 80-year-old movie theater where no one goes anymore, a park where one too many kids went missing. All it takes is a tragic backstory and a creepy atmosphere, and it's easy to believe that any place could be teeming with restless spirits. So it stands to reason that a place with as many unsolved deaths as the SCP Foundation might have a ghost or two lurking in the shadows. If you've ever suspected that the SCP Foundation might be haunted, well, you'd be right. It began as all good ghost stories do, with a series of frightening, unexplained events. Some time ago, personnel at SCP Foundation Site-30 began to notice strange things happening around the facility. Obviously, at a place like an SCP Foundation containment site, strange is relative, but these events seem to have nothing to do with any of the entities contained at the site. There were unexplained sounds reported in the private quarters of agents and researchers, ranging from whispers to screams from an unseen being. Personnel who approached the D-Class block at the site noticed an immediate drop in temperature, with some employees claiming that they could even see their own breath. Several personnel reported items going missing while they were alone in a room. Most were small and easily misplaced objects like pens and clipboards, but one man said his wallet disappeared, which wouldn't be that strange if it hadn't been securely inside his lab coat. Other personnel would be innocently washing their hands, only to be horrified by the appearance of a bloody figure in a D-Class jumpsuit in the mirror, staring back at them with hatred in its eyes. There were anomalous computer server errors, the feeling of being watched or followed by some menacing invisible force, even the sight of a shadowy silhouette fleeing down corridors and hiding around corners. All of these occurrences were reported to higher-ups at the Foundation, but they were all dismissed. The directorial board of the site insisted that these accounts were likely the result of employees cracking under the immense mental stress of working under such strenuous circumstances. If left alone, they were certain that the reports would stop, but the reports didn't stop, and they soon found out that this was only the beginning. There was an uptick in containment breaches following these initial reports. In total, 12 different entities were released from their containment, and the origin of these breaches could not be identified. Thankfully, the entities were captured and returned to their containment facilities before any casualties could result. But from there, things kept getting worse. Over the course of several months, there were 6 different employee suicides on site. Security footage of the deceased operatives shortly before their deaths showed them acting deeply troubled, engaging in agitated conversation with someone not visible to the camera. At first, it was posited that whoever was upsetting the employees was in a blind spot, but it quickly became clear that the dead employees were being tormented by something invisible. Stories of hauntings were one thing, but now with escaped SCPs and a notable death count, the directorial board decided to mount an official investigation into the unexplained occurrences. It was then that the spirit was officially acknowledged, identified, and reclassified as SCP-4973. SCP-4973 was once a D-Class worker who was used as a guinea pig in 25 different experiments with a variety of entities on site. He was reportedly exposed to multiple unusual and dangerous anomalies, including SCP-158, a large mechanical arm capable of extracting an unidentified substance from any living test subject. Before he was brought on board at SCP Foundation Site-30, he was also known as Gordon Karviakulis Markovich, a man who had been convicted of murder in the 2nd degree after stabbing his wife 24 times in the chest with a kitchen knife. During his incarceration, Markovich was transferred to the custody of the SCP Foundation and placed at Site-30, where he was given a new name, D-10,000. During an experiment involving a redacted entity, D-10,000 was killed, and his remains were disposed of at a nearby waste refinery. It was then only 3 months after his death that the initial reports of ghost activity began. SCP-4973 is regarded as a Class 4 spectral entity, meaning that it is an entity displaying a high degree of aggression and malevolence towards a specific individual or group. In this case, the spirit displays hostility towards a very specific group, the SCP Foundation. Class 4 entities can affect the environment around them, move objects, reduce the temperature in a room, and induce hallucinations in humans that it comes into contact with. These hallucinations are thought to be the cause of the increase in employee suicides that occurred after 4973's first appearance. One of the many ways in which SCP-4973 acted out, in what is believed to be an attempt at revenge on the Foundation as a whole, was to somehow gain access to the SCPnet database terminal. This allowed the spirit to learn about the entities contained at the site, as well as personal details regarding the lives of research, security, and administrative staff working there. This information is likely what allowed 4973 to cause several suspected containment breaches, though the specifics of those breaches have been expunged from official records. 4973 was eventually contained within an apparatus known as the Incorporeal Entity Vacuum Chamber, which is constantly monitored by a team of specialists within MTF-MU-13, affectionately nicknamed GHOSTBUSTERS. In order to prevent it from escaping, 4 Harrington Hollow neutralizer wards have been placed at the door to the containment facility. This containment method has been largely effective, though the spirit had escaped a handful of times and had to be recaptured and placed back into the IEVC. In order to understand SCP-4973 and how it was able to access the database, Dr. Lorraine Casper was assigned to conduct an interview with the spirit, speaking to it as it was in containment, and a transcript of this interview is available in the official Foundation archives. Dr. Casper began the conversation politely, addressing the SCP as Gordon and asking him how he was. Gordon refused to comply with the round of questioning, going as far as to yell at Dr. Casper until she reminded him that he faced the risk of termination if he refused to answer her questions. Dr. Casper pointed out that the files accessed by 4973 required clearance that the spirit would have no way of possessing. He responded that he simply waved his hand across the terminal in order to access it, explaining, "It freaked out for a second, then just stopped. I could just move my fingers around the air and the tabs would just roll up. Easy as that." Dr. Casper asked for clarification, inquiring how he could even do something like that. 4973 continued his explanation. "Beats me. It felt like some attraction, like magnets from afar getting closer and closer. I don't know, something like that." Finding this answer unsatisfactory, Dr. Casper pushed further, asking for an explanation of SCP-4973's attempts to release dangerous on-site anomalies from containment. This question seemed to stump him, and he claimed not to understand what Dr. Casper meant. She explained that the ID cards of Dr. Yurkov and Dr. Orson were used to open the facilities from which these anomalies escaped. 4973 was shocked that he had even been suspected of this attack, and insisted not to know who Orson or Yurkov even were. All of a sudden, he trailed off. There was silence for a moment, and Dr. Casper began to collect her notes and leave, assuming that the interview was over. Much to her surprise, SCP-4973 began to laugh. A loud, uproarious laugh of complete and utter delight. Casper asked what 4973 was laughing about, and was met with the response, "God, this whole time you and your ghost hunting crew never knew?" He refused to clarify what it was the doctor and her crew had missed, only saying, "God, that look on your face when you find out it's been right under your nose this whole time!" He continued to laugh at Dr. Casper for the remainder of the interview, refusing to answer any further questions or explain any of his comments. Finally, Dr. Casper grew exasperated and left, ending the interview for real this time. Following this perplexing interview, Dr. Casper inexplicably abandoned her post at Site-30. Her supervisors could not reach her, neither could any of the other researchers at the site. No one had heard from her for an entire week, until one day she called Director Eric Riverson of Site-30 on his personal phone line. He recorded the conversation, and a transcript has been included in the file for SCP-4973. Dr. Casper explained to Director Riverson that she had been hiding in her private residence away from the site, and that she no longer considered any part of the site safe. In fact, she suggested that all SCP Foundation sites might be potentially compromised. She explained her conversation with SCP-4973 and the questions it provoked her to ask. If he had not been behind the containment breaches, then who was? He never encountered Dr. Yurkov or Orson in any of the tests administered on him, and Orson wasn't even employed at the Foundation until after 4973's death. Dr. Casper posited that, though the spirit of Gordon was not responsible for the breaches, another spectral force or forces at the site might be. Her hypothesis, that Site-30 was positively infested with the vengeful spirits of Class D employees lost over the years during various experiments. In order to prove her theory, Dr. Casper got her hands on all the experimental equipment used by the department researching spectral anomalies. The general consensus among researchers in this field is that spirits leak out a kind of energy, known as ectoplasm, wherever they go. It has been compared to the skin left behind when a spider or a snake molts, a non-essential portion of the entity that is shed and leaves a residue in areas where they have been. Unsurprisingly, a huge amount of ectoplasm was detected inside of Site-30. The spirits were undetected at first, as many of them were dormant for quite some time. Dormant spirits are spirits that are not aware of their surroundings or the circumstances of their deaths, and they do not emit large quantities of ectoplasm. It is likely that after Gordon was trapped, several of the dormant spirits of Site-30 began to remember what was done to them and manifest in more aggressive ways. Because Gordon was presumed to be the only spirit at the site, their gradual appearance and acting out was either ignored or presumed to be Gordon escaping from containment. After her realization, Dr. Casper identified an additional 5 active spirits at the site and was able to capture and contain one of them. Dr. Casper warned Director Riverson that there were likely far more spirits than just those 5, and it was only a matter of time before they woke up and became active like the others. The large amount of previous containment breaches attributed to simple human error becomes deeply sinister once it is clear that there have been vengeful spirits hiding in plain sight the entire time. As Gordon put it in his interview, they were just under their noses the whole time. Dr. Casper's findings and the story of Site-30 present a troubling possibility. Every SCP Foundation site has used massive amounts of Class D personnel in human experiments with dangerous entities, and the body count at nearly all of them is staggering. If Dr. Casper is right, then every single site has the makings of a haunted house. All of them could be infested with the spirits of dead, angry D-Class, who are just waiting to wake up and take their revenge on the still living members of the organization that killed them. And it's only a matter of time before they get the chance. Now check out SCP-3999, I am at the center of everything that happens to me, and SCP-1007, Mr. Life and Mr. Death, for more mind-blowing SCP stories.